It is season 3, episode 7 of the Hall of Fame show, and the penultimate episode where I'll be recording in Barbados. The move is coming, Evan Nolan. It's coming.
We're gonna go from being in two different countries to being in two different countries.
That is very true, and still in two different times. Wait, no. You're in Central.
I am in Central. Yeah.
I will also be in Central.
Wow. So you're not going to be recording this at 1 o'clock in the morning.
We're finishing it up at 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like of all the things I'm looking forward to, that is one of them.
Cool.
Yeah. So like that will actually be a huge load off really everything, my whole schedule and everything else I always try to put forth with these shows. But speaking of the show, let's just get right to it, because I've got a full plate of plates, actually, because it's a smorgasbord.
There you go.
Of shit. It replaced the shit box. But in the smorgasbord of shit, Kirk will just say whatever the hell comes to mind. Hey, do you remember when you talked about SMU and the death penalty a few shows ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember? So like when SMU got punished, what the NCAA did is they said, you know what? Okay, you're now going to have to compete as NCAA athletes from SMU, and you can still compete for the national championship.
Right.
Oh, wait, that didn't happen.
No, that didn't happen at all. They just killed everything.
That didn't happen. This morning, I watched the figure skating. Because I can't say no to a car crash.
Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so I watched that this morning, and a few thoughts were coming to my mind. I felt like a piece of shit because I was openly rooting for a 15-year-old to fall and choke.
Yeah, I saw that. Was it Facebook or Twitter? Twitter. You're like, goddamn Olympics are making me root against a 15-year-old.
Yeah, and I was openly doing that. The emotions watching that whole thing from everything, and I want to say that right now, Tara Lipinski, Johnny Weir, you two are awesome. Their commentary of everything was gold. It was blunt, and it was raw. And I've never really sort of seen commentary that good in a long time. So I just want to give massive props out to that. They're also sort of like presenting a sport that a lot of people are just watching for the really once every 4 years.
Right.
And in my case, I don't think I've even watched figure skating maybe 12 years. Maybe longer.
Fair enough.
They've got enough problems figure skating. There's no real stars in this anymore. Really hasn't been, especially in our continent.
Mm-hmm.
Not. I mean, I know Nathan Chen is, but let's be blunt. This is a female driven sport.
True.
So
you got the Shib Sibs.
I'm sorry, you have the what?
Are they still around, the Shibatani siblings? I have no idea. I haven't been watching very much Olympics. I haven't had time. So.
Oh, okay. I don't even know who they are. And I didn't know who any of these people were, except for Tara and Johnny Weir. I knew they were, especially from. I know Tara won gold at some point, and Johnny and Tara played themselves on a Family Guy episode, which is great. So. Going into the long program, I can never remember her damn name. Camila Valieva. Apologies for mispronouncing that. Won the short program, skated flawlessly, and you heard how they decided they were going to do this. And I don't want to say the IOC, because this wasn't the IOC. This was the Sports Arbitration Committee, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Right.
And they came up with the dumbest answer for everything. First off, before we go any further, how the hell does a test wait so long before to come back positive?
I don't know.
like who's testing this? Ryan Braun?
Oh,
Yeah.
you really wanted to get my buttons going. You can bring in a pokey in here. Come on.
Well, I didn't have a better answer for that joke.
True.
Yeah. But again, I don't quite understand why this would sort of get, okay, well, here's the Olympics a couple months later. Now we know this came back positive. I don't know how that happens in the first place. Second place, Russia, as done by my bad SMU analogy, should not be here.
100%.
And they're here. It's not an anti-Russian thing. If I went, I'd say this would any country. If they were caught to this level, and here we are again, we knew what country it was going to be. We knew exactly what country that was going to have a doping issue.
East Germany?
Yeah, East Germany. No, actually, now with East Germany, they can have their women compete with testicles.
Oh boy.
Sorry.
Stay away from that one. Continue.
So they come up with the worst thing possible. We're going to let her compete because Russia is appealing it. But if she gets a medal, we're not going to really do a medal ceremony until this is all figured out. So they say they're trying to protect her. Now they hurt everybody, because now, especially all the top skaters, you're going through all this for what? That's the whole point, was to sort of get there. It's hard enough for the Russians anyway, as their anthem's not going to be played, and rightfully so, even though they shouldn't be there. So did you watch any of this at all?
No, I haven't had a chance.
Okay. So she, Valieva, competes last. And she chokes. I got my wish, and I felt really awful, but I got my wish. And again, to Tara and Johnny's credit, they're openly saying it. Like, we're weeping for this girl, but they said it over and over. She should not be competing. Like, they weren't even trying to hide that elephant in that room. And seeing two pros like that completely confused and baffled as to what was going on. I've never seen that. I've seen angry commentators. I've seen confused commentators. I've never seen two commentators who just were in disbelief and openly saying that this is going to stain our sport that they love for, well, the rest of their lives anyway. So she falls apart, falls to floor. Now, what happens afterwards is the strangest series too. It gets even stranger, because now Russia still finished first and second. Now these are all friends. Like, the one who won is now left alone completely. Have you ever seen an Olympic gold medal, someone who just learned that they won the gold and they were by themselves? And she's standing there emotionless, just holding a teddy bear, like one of those things that they always get.
I've seen that picture.
Oh, okay, so you've seen, okay, so
I've just seen the still of that shot. So.
Yeah, and it just felt like it was going on for hours. It wasn't, but it was minutes. It wasn't just a one shot. I mean, she was there by herself, stone-faced, like not knowing what to do. The one who finished second, she's bawling, and I guess Johnny Weir speaks Russian because he was translating, or someone's in his ear. Okay, Johnny, I'm not gay, but maybe I could learn. No. Continue, yeah. Yeah, I should. That one would be one of those ones I'd edit out if I ever edit out things. But I don't. So she's saying, I don't want to go out there. I don't want to go out there at all. They did. And the whole thing was the biggest shit show. I've never seen three people less enthused to be a medal winner in their lives. They probably didn't even think they'd even be going out there in the first place, because they probably assumed that Camila was going to at least medal.
Wow, didn't they say if she medaled, they weren't going to have a ceremony at all, or medal ceremony?
No, well, they said they weren't going to have a medal ceremony at that point in time. They were going to
Okay.
do something dignified at a later period. I mean, the whole thing is just the biggest cluster fucking train wreck I've ever seen on television in sports.
And you literally do a show called "This Was on what? How the hell was this on television?" So you've seen a lot of clusterfucks.
I have, or maybe surreal. That might be a better word. Because I just didn't know what the hell I'm watching. I'm not even upset at Camilla. She's getting shitty advice. The excuse they're giving is that she just used some of her grandpa's heart medication, which okay,
three of them together.
Yeah, exactly, right. So because it was three different ones.
Yeah, three different ones
that she got popped
together.
Yeah, so Russia's learned absolutely nothing. They're due to be fully. I don't want to say fully unsanctioned because they're really not sanctioned at all in December of this year. And the people who caused this are probably not going to be serving any kind of penalty, and they'll probably be waving the Russian flag, walking with the athletes in the next Olympics. So fuck these Olympics. The only thing I can say is, China, this is the Olympics you deserve.
And NBC, I mean, part of it is I don't even know when NBC is showing stuff. Like, and because they have all these Peacock and all these other streaming things, they've moved so many things over. Like last time there's Olympics, I felt like stuff was on 4 channels. You could kind of figure out what you wanted to watch. And now it's just like they moved everything to channel 242 for me. And then that was the only place you could watch anything unless you have the streaming service. So it's very hard to see anything you want. You like turn on, you're like, oh, all right, I guess it's luge again. So
I thought about this too, like about a year and a half ago, or before COVID. I was so pumped because this is the first time that I've ever really been able to watch as much Olympics as I really wanted to. Because I'm setting my own schedule. That might change when I'm back in Canada, but right now I'm pretty much setting my own schedule. So 12 hours behind, I don't care. I was 2 years ago, I was going to watch it more than I probably watched of any Olympics. I didn't watch much at all. Mm-hmm. I haven't watched any of the men's hockey. I watched the most thing I've watched was women's hockey that I railed on last week for saying it shouldn't be in the Olympics.
Yeah.
But
I watched a bunch of biathlon at one point. That's been my sport I've been interested in this time around.
There's something about just this interesting combination, isn't it?
I just think it's funny that the one sport at all with guns is the one sport the U.S. has never won a medal in.
Never thought of that.
Yeah, it's the only sport in the Winter Olympics U.S. has never medaled now. Because going into last time we hadn't medaled in luge or curling either, and we got a gold in curling and a bronze in luge. So now we're just down to biathlon as the only sport left. So
yeah, there's no. The biggest name is the one who now doped. That is the biggest name of this Olympics. And how many of these Olympics are tarnished by shit like this? My country with Ben Johnson in 1988.
That's why baseball needs to be in the Olympics. I mean, they're already pre-tarnished.
Why not? At that point, yeah. Why the hell not? This whole thing has been a complete debacle from everything. I felt icky to watch it. I felt icky watching everything in the Olympics. And then I guess one last thing, fuck me for watching any of it. You know, because I shouldn't. But yeah. I was just so disgusted watching that this morning, and also with myself, because I never thought I just had to sit back. Well, but they put me in that position. I guarantee you, Tara and Johnny and all these other great people were thinking the same thing. Like they didn't want to see that. They didn't want that. Whatever. All right, that's my shit smorgasbord. And then one final thing. Hey, Everyone. Trudeau, I told you all so. That's it.
All right, before we get to the death march here, we're now a week removed. Like, because last time we did basically live reaction to the Football Hall of Fame results.
Right.
Now that we're a week removed, how do you feel about the 5 folks who got in? I mean, we are not counting. We knew the coach and the contributor and the veteran were going to get in just because that's the way finally things are getting done correctly. But now that we have that class, how do you feel about it coming in?
Same reaction that I had then. Sam Mills, I felt like it was going to happen, and Bryant Young to me is still
Yeah, so everything that says about Bryant Young is that it was more lobbying by his peers.
I saw a lot of that.
That the peers just came and lobbied hard for him to get in. I'm just surprised more than anything. Like, I'm not surprised there's a middle linebacker that got in. I'm a little surprised it was Mills. I mean, I understand Willis and Thomas. I figured one of them, because Thomas is the only one of the 4 left over from last year, if we're from 6 to 10, who didn't get in. And Mills clearly took that spot. The difference is Mills would have fallen into the abyss of the seniors pool. We never would have seen him again, right?
Right.
The same thing happened with Roger Worley a few years ago. I don't know if you remember that. But Worley was like, kept being a finalist, kept being a semifinalist, finally got to be a finalist a couple years in a row, and the last year they put him in. I happen to think Roger Worley was a better player overall than Sam Mills, but Sam Mills, I guess, makes sense. I'm more amazed that both Bryant Young and Richard Seymour got in. I figured it'd be one defensive. It's amazing there are 2 defensive linemen and no wide receivers, I think is what it came down to.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder if there was any kind of strategic thought with a lot of cases with the exception of Mills, because it was now or never.
Yeah, essentially. It's either we voting. I mean, because that's what's happening with what's his name from Buffalo?
Tasker.
Yeah, Tasker's gone forever.
Yeah, but as weird as it sounds, even though that senior pool is so deep, it's a better shot.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, look at Ray Guy, could never get through.
That is true when they eventually got there, but they're going to have to expand the pool from 1 to 2 in order to really get some.
Yeah, and we're 3 years away from happening. I guess actually there was something I wanted to ask you too. Crap. Oh, okay. So James Harden is now a 76er. I guess all bets are off on the 76ers.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, they lost by 48 points at home to the Celtics 2 days ago.
I saw that. I was watching. Yeah, that game I watched.
Celtics are up 51 at one point. Almost they're up 51 points, and they had all the backups in. And still won by 48. It was crazy.
You must be loving Jaylen Brown right now. You think I'm not an all-star? I'll show you.
Oh yeah, Jaylen. Yeah, some of the people who got in over Jaylen Brown. What are you gonna do? Like, they're the Celtics. When all those votes were taken, the Celtics were the 9th place team in the East. They're not going to get 2 all-stars, and Tatum is just a higher profile guy. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. So
and it should be Tatum over Brown, also. But
agree.
Brown is. I love it when they play with a chip on their shoulder. It's Boston is really showing a lot right now. It's going to be fun to watch. I've actually thought of a new bet idea.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs are at the same time.
They're going to be close. They usually overlap.
How about we draft just from the same pool?
I mean, drafting teams.
Mm-hmm.
So NHL playoff
from the exact same pool, right? So like you can just load up on all NHL shit.
So NHL regular season ends April 29th. The playoffs start on May 2nd.
Okay.
NBA begins April 16th.
Yeah, so much for that then. All right. That would have been fun.
Yeah. So April 16th.
Yeah, usually
they're gonna have the play-in tournament from the 12th to the 15th.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, scrap that. Oh well.
That's a good idea.
Every now and then I
So-
have them.
Yeah, it just is not going to work out this year. So anyway, all right. So I guess we should go to the death roll at this point.
Hoorah, hoorah.
Yeah, it's a fairly small group, honestly, this week, which is good.
It is good.
Yeah. So I will say, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong. At some point, I should just learn Hungarian. Mate Feniyevsi, Mate Feniyevsi, who passed away earlier this week. Maybe another victim of our beige mistress. He was a member of the Hungarian national team, played 76 games for them, scored 8 goals from 54 to 66, and later became a member of parliament from 1998 to 2006 after being a veterinarian. So there you go. But yeah, so we did more activity. It's been one a week, man, this year so far. So she's still going.
We got to give her a backstory or something.
We're gonna have to at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, well, as you're studying all the Hungarian, you come up with her actual name.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Wasn't Matahari Hungarian? I feel like she was. Hold on, where's Matahari?
I don't know.
Matahari was Dutch. Of course she was. Anyway.
I don't know if she could have been such a good spy wearing those damn wooden shoes.
And the headdresses, because she was like a lounge singer too. Anyway, let's start with wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So we lost 2 folks in wrestling. One was Super Muñeco, the Mexican luchador, whose name means super doll or super toy in in Spanish, died at the age of 59. I know you've done a little bit with Mexican wrestling. Do you know much about him?
No, I'm not familiar with this one at all. Although maybe I should get my Mexican to American translator.
There you go. There you go. Super Muñeco. There you go. So super toy. Anyway, also Mickey Henson passed away, who was a wrestling referee. Yep. With WCW from 92 to 01 and WWE from 05 to 09. Passed away at only the age of 59.
I don't remember too much of him. He was just like one of your standard referees. I don't think he was ever in any angles, but employed by the 2 biggest companies that existed in North America. So he was clearly good at it.
Yeah, he had lymphoma in 2008, was given months to live and beat it, but then came down with COVID, and with cancer pre-diagnosis, it doesn't work very well.
No, that's yeah. COVID seems to like the Roman Reigns has got the lymphoma, so he's like massively compromised. So like he had to stay out for a long time, just when COVID, especially the tougher strains or the more lethal ones, rather.
The more lethal ones, yeah. From the world of golf, Argentine El Gato himself, Eduardo Romero, passed away at the age of 67. He won 60 wins between European Champions Tour and Senior Tour over his career. Best finish in one of the majors. He finished 7th in the 97 Open. But a guy who's was around for a very, very long time. So I don't see what he passed from, but he was actually mayor of a city in Argentina for the last few years when he passed away. So
probably a city you've been to.
Trying to see which one it was. Hold on. I saw it earlier and then I lost it. Villa Allende, which is outside of Cordoba. I've been to Cordoba. I may have been through Villa Allende, but I've not intentionally been there. So anyway, everyone else is from the world of music pretty much this week. Starting with Howard Grimes, who is a drummer of the High Rhythm section, who was a group that played background for all sorts of people. Another sideman, played with Al Green, Rufus Thomas, Willie Mitchell, among others. He passed from kidney failure at the age of 80. We lost King Louis Bankston, who's another drummer or associated with early garage punk. He was only, how old was he? He was born in 73, so he was only 49 when he passed away.
Who do you play for?
He played with,
Or
among others, the Royal Pendletons, the Persuaders, Exploding Hearts, and the King Louis one-man band. Exploding Hearts is probably the best known of those guys. But he also backed up a whole bunch of other folks over the years, including one of my favorite random band names. You remember Jerry and the Pacemakers?
I do.
They had a sort of weird offshoot named band who did punk named Jerry and the Bastard Makers. So he passed away at the age of 49 earlier this week.
Name.
I'm sorry?
The Bastard Makers sound a lot better than the Pacemakers.
True. One of my favorite ones was I still think one of my favorite band names that made fun of something was there's an Irish band that had a hit in like the early 2000s called Nobody's More Irish Than Barack Obama. But the name of the band was Hardy Drew and the Nancy Boys. I think that's still one of my favorite band names of all time.
I think for me, it's Dred Zeppelin, where the lead singer was this guy who dressed as Fat Elvis.
Nice.
If I got that right, I think I do. I could be wrong.
We lost another huge session drummer. Sandy Nelson passed away at the age of 83. He was the main drummer for Jan and Dean. He also played Geronimo with the Renegades. He was the drummer for that. The Teddy Bears, remember, To Know Him Is to Love Him in 1958. Hollywood Argyle's Alley Oop. He was the drummer for that one. So a whole bunch of songs from mostly the late 50s, early 60s. But he died for complications of a stroke at the age of 83.
He must have some stories, huh?
Yeah, he must have. He also had a whole bunch of just drumming albums as well on his own as a solo drummer, which I don't feel like there are a ton of those out there.
No.
Also passing away, David Tyson of the Manhattans. David Tyson, also known as the brother of the Temptations' Ron Tyson. So Manhattans are probably best known for Shining Star and Kiss and Say Goodbye from the late 70s, early 80s. David Tyson was only 62. It didn't give her cause of death, but he passed at 62. Another drummer, actually, I missed. Clifton Fufu Eddie passed away. Played with the Dells, Patti LaBelle, all sorts of folks like that. Also, towards the end of his life, he would pass away at 78, but he also appeared as an actor in both Whiplash and La La Land.
Okay.
Yeah, so he passed at 78 on Valentine's Day. And I guess the biggest name out of music who passed away was Ian McDonald, passed away, who was the keyboarder basically for King Crimson and Foreigner at different points in his life. Passed away at the age of 75. He also played on T-Rex's Get It On. So he was one of the folks, session musician for that. But yeah, he was with King Crimson from 69 through 75, and then moved from Foreigner for their Foreigner, Double Vision, and Head Games, which are really the three biggest Foreigner albums for all of them. And then had a solo career, also played with Steve Hackett for a little bit in the late 90s. But he passed away at the age of 75. And one last person I like to bring up who passed away, Gail. Well, we did lose PJ O'Rourke from the satirist from National Lampoon, passed away at 74. Was columnist for Daily Beast and worked with NPR and a few other folks, but he passed away at 74. But the one I wanted to bring up was Gail Halverson, passed away at the age of 101. He was better known as the Berlin Candy Bomber. Also known as Uncle Wiggly Wings, because he, during the Cold War from the Berlin airlift, he would fly low over Berlin and drop candy for the kids and waggle his wings to let them know it was him on his way in.
Okay.
So he literally would dive bomb East Berlin with candy for the kids, which is kind of cool. And he was involved with the U.S. Air Force as a colonel from 42 to 74. But yeah, his spouse, he was married for 50 years, but his wife died back in 1999, got remarried in 2004 as a man of 84 at that point, 83, and was married another 17 years. So, but passed away at the age of 101. Gail Halverson, Godspeed. So
I like it when you come up with these unique ones.
I like looking at the weird ones. Like if someone's like, oh, why is this one here? I mean, it's always good to like the people like that. My favorite was that the mafia lady whose husband got killed like 6 months in, and while she was pregnant, decided just to take a war with the mafia and survive to tell about to the age of 93 somehow. She just started killing mafia members and nobody did anything because apparently she was pregnant. So
there's honor among thieves.
Yeah, that lady needs a movie about her.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
all right. So 2 other sections we've got left. The elevator up, elevator down. That's where I look at the past week and, hey, whose Hall of Fame chances got a lot better. And sometimes I have to struggle to come up with something, and to the point where I don't have anything at all. This is not one of those weeks. Super Bowl happened. Maybe perhaps you've seen that. I had to rewatch it because, yeah, I kind of got drunk again. But there's a shock.
Good.
Yeah. It's a talent. What can I say? And getting all of the attention was Matthew Stafford. And it was the same lather, rinse, repeat that we saw from Joe Flacco was 7-8 years ago when he won his Super Bowl. And it's probably the same dumbasses writing that article. Well, I guess maybe he's a Hall of Famer. And the reality is no. But now people are talking about it, whether good or bad. No one ever said anything about him in Hall of Fame ever before. So if that's not an elevator up, I don't know what is. I do want to sort of close with what Richard Sherman said about it.
Yeah, I thought Richard Sherman's thing was great, honestly.
Perfect. It was perfect. So for those who haven't seen that, I'm just going to read it because there's nothing better. There's no more better succinct answer for this question. I'm going to talk about it on the podcast, but the HOF bar is incredibly low now, like a participation trophy. No all-decade team, no all-pro, no MVP, 1 Pro Bowl, not even MVP of the Super Bowl. Never considered the best in any year he played. At least Matt Ryan has an MVP. There's 4 of those. He did nothing spectacular. It's really a macrocosm of his career. Did good, not great. Made a few wow passes. Made a few facepalm passes. Aaron Donald and Vaughn are the 2 HOF he should thank. No argument there.
Mm-hmm.
There is no measuring stick that makes Stafford a Hall of Famer other than playing in the most passer-happy decade in NFL history. Inflated numbers never make every quarterback that starts 10 years plus a Hall of Famer. And he gets his day, brother. But just throwing around HOF like that just irks me. So many had to be the most dominant to make it. Perfect answer. Except for that first part, I don't think the Hall of Fame bar is low, but
no.
Other than
I mean, to be honest, for QBs, it might be. We're going to find out how low that QB bar is coming up here.
That's a very good point. I do, however, think that everything else he said was respectful. And so a lot of people were retweeting that Sherman's blasting Stafford. No, he's not.
No, he's blasting conversation around him.
Right, but he's not blasting Stafford as for this. He's just calling it like it is, telling it straight up, and laying out facts to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely perfect. So I don't want to go in more on Stafford because there's a few people who I think really should be talked about a little bit more. Lou Snead, the general manager who pulled off that trade. Well, he was right, wasn't he?
He was.
He built something that a lot of that Eric Weddle came out of retirement for, another elevator up.
Yeah, Eric Weddle, that was an interesting one to me because we've been talking about him as he was going to be the same year as Eli and Marshall Yanda and a few other people. We're wondering if he's going to get lost. If he retires again, it's going to be tough because Roethlisberger and we'll see if Brady's done. He may very well be back here. Signs are beginning to point to the fact he's not fully retired.
Shock me either, but yeah.
No, well, I mean, the trade of Jimmy Garoppolo to Tampa and letting Brady have 1 year in the Niners uniform because he always wanted to play at a 45. That'd be great. But
yeah.
But I brought that up with a couple guys online, and one of them said it's just so hard for safeties to get in, and he wasn't in all decade. So no matter how good he was, it may be a challenge for him to get in, and that's a pretty good point. But certainly having the championship helps.
Right. So, and Sean McVay, 36 years old, 36, and he's a Super Bowl champion, and he's won 2 conferences. I mean, holy shit.
I would like to point out though, his offenses were one crazy drive with a whole bunch of missed calls in their favor or calls in their favor.
Oh, I agree.
From scoring 19 points in 2 Super Bowls,
right,
combined.
But he got the W.
True, he did.
Yeah, and you've got to be have one hell of a career as a coach to get into the Hall of Fame if you don't have that ring, and he's got that ring.
Yeah, true. That will help certainly.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot something on the smorgasbord that I was going to talk about. I'll throw that in after. And Andrew Whitworth.
Yeah, I think this helps Andrew Whitworth a lot. Do you think he plays again, or you think I think it's possible he puts 1 more year in?
I mean, I think he wants to play again, and I think he's certainly capable of it.
And he was the NFL Man of the Year, the multiple Man of the Year, and his speech was fantastic.
Absolutely, and the Super Bowl broadcast, they were building him up. Andrew Whitworth is somebody I'm personally cheering for. I want to see him play 1 more year again because I'm going to throw him. I'm biased. I want him to win a Super Bowl, or sorry, to go in the Hall of Fame. I don't know that he's got that resume, but I'm really excited for him because I want to cheer for these good guys.
Yeah, 100%. And I do think, I don't know if you saw the video that got released today of after the game, Whitworth and oh my God, I always forget his name, the defensive lineman.
Aaron Donald.
Yeah. Aaron Donald and Whitworth seeking each other out to talk about how awesome it was that they won and how happy they were and how much they loved each other and everything. That was a cool moment, and that may resonate in people's heads as well. I honestly think like Whitworth is 40, right? He's the oldest offensive lineman ever to play in a Super Bowl. He's one of the oldest offensive linemen ever to play in the league. So he could very well be done, but it may be just be like, hey, let's run this back 1 year and see what we can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, and if people are wondering, well, how come I didn't mention Aaron Donald and Von Miller? Because I don't have to. They're already in the Hall of Fame.
And Cooper Kupp this year also went from let's put it this way, he passed Julian Edelman.
I think so.
Yeah, that was an interesting.
That's another elevator up. I have an elevator up and down in the same damn game. OBJ.
I don't know why, because he got injured and went down?
Because of his injury. It's another torn ACL.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So because of that, he may not be able to play as much. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so that's where I'm going there. That acquisition, I mean, because he was not doing much in Cleveland. OBJ was kind of what he used. He was a lot closer to what he used to be. That's for damn sure. And I think he's always going to be a WR2, but now maybe he's a bench guy at this point. I don't know if he comes back at all, because that's devastating for any football player, especially an offensive skill player. Torn ACL. Elevator down. More elevator up. Pretty much anyone who was a former Bengal. This is now a team that's been to the Super Bowl 3 times. Let's just stop calling this a laughing stock franchise, because there's a lot of franchises that have never been there 3 times. A hell of a lot. Just off the top of my head, my team. Now, yes, we've got the 1 win, but only been there once. The Jets, another one that's just been one and done. Detroit's never been there at all. Cleveland has never been there at all. This is not the sad sack franchise that a lot of people want to make them out to be. And the fans seem to be fantastic. So I was cheering for Andrew Whitworth, and I was cheering for the Cincinnati Bengals fans. But mostly I just wanted to be entertained, and I was. Twice. Elevator down is someone who's probably going to be eligible in the same year as Big Ben, Tom Brady, if he decides not to come back. That's Adrian Peterson, who got himself in trouble again. This is not, it's interesting because I mentioned Big Ben, who was accused pretty credibly, from what I've been reading, of rape. What Adrian Peterson did was not nearly as bad, but Adrian Peterson is someone who used to beat his kids
with a belt.
So believing that this is not that big a leap, unfortunately, to believe that he would do something not too good to his partner. They turned a plane around for pretty much a VIP guest. They knew who he was. He wasn't flying in coach. So I'm sure it's a lot more than what Adrian says, where I just ripped the ring off the finger. If you ripped the finger off, then that would have been a lot worse.
Yes, that definitely would have been a lot worse.
Yes, that would have been a lot. They didn't press charges, but this is just like another thing that he doesn't need. I think what Roethlisberger has done overall seems 10 times worse, but that wasn't in the Twitter era. This is. And there's that recency bias that you and I have talked about a lot. I think Mike Tyson is hella entertaining. Do the kids still say hella? I don't know, but
I'm still on fleek. That's all I know.
There you go. So, but Tyson has a really dicey past that is,
to say the least.
Yes, and it's completely forgotten.
I still remember the greatest. I will always say the greatest award show opening of all time was the 2013 Tonys. Trust me on this.
All right,
and the 2013 Tonys, go look it up if you haven't seen it. It's Neil Patrick Harris at the height of his powers. But during that, they're talking about all the shows that are going on. They're back in Radio City Music Hall for the first time. And they're like, even Mike Tyson had a one-man show, Let's Give the Man a Hand, and he appears on stage and the entire audience cheers. And I'm just like thinking back with all this is pre-Me Too and everything else. And Tyson's now hasn't apparently had any problems in 20 plus years, as far as we could tell, other than a face tattoo. And everyone was cheering. It's just so weird how some people get it and get the forgiveness and some don't.
Yeah, Louis C.K. will never be forgiven.
Here's the thing. I think people might be forgiven if they actually were contrite about stuff. Louis C.K. has never been interested in that.
Yeah, and I think also too, it's hard to tell whether he was sincere or not with his apology. I mean, it was such a weird thing. Well, this is going off in other places, but I think I read one article going back to Roethlisberger. They said, well, if this happened in the Me Too era, he's screwed.
100%.
But it didn't, and we just have to go by where we are. And again, this was never proven, so I have to.
Right. But I mean, remember Leonard Little drunk drove and killed 2 people and was suspended for a game? Can you imagine if that happened now?
Oh God, yeah, exactly. One thing I sort of forgot to mention on the smorgasbord, I wanted to sort of say, Brian Flores, what are you doing? Now you're adding the Texans to this? This,
We sort of talked about that last week with Lovey and everything.
yeah, but now he added the Texans after.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, who knows? This is a scorched earth thing that's not really going to be scorched earth. I don't get it.
Well, he's going all in because he's pretty much made himself unhireable. So he's going for, well, I'm going to get my payday or my as a speaker, as a martyr. I don't know what he's doing, but this is looking less and less credible all the time.
Maybe he's trying to join the View like Michelle Tafoya.
She made some news, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, whatever.
So anyway, regardless. All right, are we good for the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yeah.
Just before we get there, I have two trivia questions for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
What do the following quarterbacks have in common? You ready?
I'm ready.
Stan Humphries, Neil O'Donnell, Drew Bledsoe, Chris Chandler, Steve McNair, Kerry Collins, Rich Gannon, Jake Delhomme, Donovan McNabb, Matt Hasselbeck, Rex Grossman, Colin Kaepernick, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Jared Goff, and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, shit.
And I make it easier for you. I'll tell you the 17th person. Those are 16. I'll tell you the 17th person who joins this list.
Okay.
Joe Burrow.
So these are all quarterbacks who. Give me this list again.
And this is in order.
Okay.
Stan Humphries, Neil O'Donnell, Drew Bledsoe, Chris Chandler, Steve McNair, Kerry Collins, Rich Gannon, Jake Delhomme, Donovan McNabb, Matt Hasselbeck, Rex Grossman, Colin Kaepernick, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo, and now Joe Burrow.
All right. So
it's too early. It's too early to put Burrow on this list. But
I'm not sure. There's just so many of these people. I think all of them have been in a Super Bowl, have they not?
They have all been in a Super Bowl, correct?
Okay. So if they've all been in a Super Bowl, all not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So
that's correct.
But that's not what this is it?
Mm-mm.
So they all lost?
Correct.
Okay.
They're the last 16 quarterbacks to go to their first Super Bowl and lose it.
Okay.
None of them have ever gone back to the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Bledsoe, I guess, technically went back because he led the Patriots against after Brady got hurt in the AFC Championship game and they beat the Steelers, but Brady started that Super Bowl, right?
Right.
The last 16 quarterbacks to lose their first Super Bowl never went back to the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's some powerful shit.
Yeah. By the way, the quarterback before that on the list who lost their first Super Bowl, some guy named Jim Kelly.
I've heard of him.
Kelly went back to the Super Bowl, but he lost 4 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback before that, Boomer Esiason. Never went back. Quarterback before that, who lost his first Super Bowl, Tony Eason, never went back. So it's crazy all about this. The last quarterback to lose his first Super Bowl and come and get back and win is I'm sorry, I missed one. After Boomer was John Elway. John Elway lost and then was back and then won a couple, right? But like it's crazy if you look at the list of quarterbacks who lost their first Super Bowl and just never got back. So the last 16, starting with Stan Humphries, who lost to Steve Young in the monkey off the back game with the 49ers in 94. Every quarterback who's lost their first Super Bowl since then has never been back. I just thought that was kind of amazing.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So, well, while we might think Joe Burrow will be back time after time after time, there's no guarantee.
No, I mean, a lot of us didn't even think when the playoffs started, he'd be there at the end.
Yeah. Did you see Marino and Jim Kelly on Twitter this week?
No, what did they say?
Marino was like, "Don't worry about it, man. I got to the Super Bowl my second year too. You got lots of time in your career to get back." and Jim Kelly responded, "It's like, yeah, man, I lost my first Super Bowl and then I went back. And I lost that Super Bowl. Then we went back. I lost that Super Bowl. We went back. Wait, can I start this over? Can I delete this?" It was really, really funny. They both of them had a good thing about it. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Mm-hmm. So good, bad, the ugly. Let's start with the good. I'm going to say something nice about a Philadelphia Eagle. The
Okay.
Philadelphia Eagle in question is safety Anthony Harris.
All right. What did he do?
So Anthony Harris is a family friend of the family out of Pflugerville, Texas, named the Soap family. During the last few months, they have lost both the grandfather and the father have passed away. And the church decided to have a father-daughter dance. And out of the heck of it, the Soap family just reached out to him and said, hey, we don't have anybody. She's depressed. Would you mind taking her to the dance? And so he's like, not only am I taking her to the dance, he like got her this real nice dress, got her a limo to go there, went down there and just completely made an 11-year-old girl's week, month, year, whatever, who's had a real tough year.
Yeah.
And we don't have enough of these stories where, I mean, there are lots of them out there. And I mean, it's just one silly thing like a dance, but honestly could have changed this girl's like entire outlook on life with just bringing her to this. So more of these stories. Good for you, Anthony Harris. Great thing to do. And yeah, keep up the good work. There's now officially one Philadelphia Eagle I root for. So there we go. The bad, I know we've talked about, I just want to say everything that happened to Matthew Stafford after the Super Bowl has been kind of bad. Like the whole discussion that kind of was defaming him, and his wife came out and was like, why are we even talking about this? He's still playing, right? If all of a sudden Stafford, if the Rams win 3 Super Bowls in a row, which is not likely, but not impossible, we're having a whole separate conversation about this whole thing. So why are we even talking about it now? But with this in the celebration, I don't know if you saw the video of this. It's really looks a really bad look for him. He and his wife are up there on stage as a photographer taking pictures. The photographer steps backwards and off the stage.
No, I didn't see that.
Falls 15 or 20 feet. Like the stage was up there. She actually fell, broke both cameras and broke a vertebra in her back right in front of Stafford. Stafford's response is to just turn away and drink his water bottle and walk away. His wife ran over to see if he could help her from 20 feet up, and nothing they can do. They're actually, to be fair, they are going to pay her medical bills. But like just the lack of humanity that came out of that. I know he'd been drinking and everything, but yeesh, it is a tough freaking video for Stafford.
I'll have to, yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Yes, do you notice too, like, because I don't have TikTok. I don't know if you have that.
No.
All right. When Kansas City lost, and I meant to ask you this a couple of weeks ago, but I never got around to it. When the Chiefs lost to the Bengals, there was like all these things going on Twitter where they were so happy because Mahomes' wife and his now the brother wouldn't.
The brother sucks.
Well, the brother's a complete douchebag.
Yeah.
What's the deal with? Do you know why people hate his wife? What did she do?
She just like over celebrates everything. Like when they won the game against the Bills, she was spraying the fans with champagne from there.
Oh, that's obnoxious. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, talks crap all the time. Actually, there's something trending on Twitter today. It's actually a bad week for quarterbacks. Shailene Woodley left Rodgers.
Well, how upset were you when I read that?
She just got woke, and anyway, another one canceled Rodgers. But like they were like the front row of a Lakers game, I think, and had a like spat in the front row. That was caught on camera too.
Rodgers and Shan Woodley?
No, Mahomes and his wife.
Oh.
So I don't know what's going on there. Mahomes does not seem like a bad guy. He honestly doesn't, but all the people around him seem to suck.
Well,
except his dad.
His brother's a colossal douche.
Yeah, his brother is a massive douche. And his wife is just, I don't know.
It reminds me of one of my favorite Saturday Night Live quotes, although I don't know who said it. It was like based in the early 80s. It's like all of Eddie Murphy's fame is really going to Joe Piscopo's head.
It's a pretty good quote.
So that sort of seems like Jackson Mahomes there. Like, who the hell are you?
Yeah. So, and then ugly. Just baseball again. It's hard not to rip on baseball these days. But one thing I will say about baseball, well, here's a question for you. The next year's NHL outdoor game is at Fenway again. The
Mhm.
Bruins are going to be playing in Fenway.
Okay.
What are the odds that the Bruins play in Fenway before the Red Sox do?
Wow.
Because they met for 15 minutes today and then
Oh,
ran away, and everyone's trying to win a PR battle. I know, like, pitchers and catchers are supposed to report Wednesday, I think yesterday, right?
Mhm.
And so none of this really matters yet. We're still like, because they need to have some sort of spring training, otherwise the pitchers will all die. So I figure we got like 2 or 3 weeks where they can still do whatever they need to do and figure it out. But like, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing this? I don't get it.
And this is the team sport that can least afford this.
100%. I mean, there was a report today that came out, and I think it's entirely true. By 2025, the third most watched sport in this country easily is going to be soccer.
I believe that completely.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily MLS, although MLS's numbers are going up and are now rivaling a lot of NHL games.
Mhm.
But like, just EPL, La Liga, like, you see some of the greatest athletes in the world in some of the top 5 leagues over in Europe, and you can get them on, you get them on more stations and get the freaking Olympics on.
Well, also too, I mean, the demographic of both our countries are changing, with a lot of people coming in from soccer-centric countries.
Mm-hmm.
So it just stands to reason that it's going to skyrocket.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most logical thing that you can imagine. MLS, I mean, like, I don't know whether that league's ever going to come
Well,
up.
they're expanding to 32 teams, so that's
I know, but I mean, if they're ever going to rival the talent wise of an EPL, I don't think we may never see it.
Here's a weird thing. The US talks about how capitalistic it is on everything, except when it comes to sports. On sports, we're a much more socialistic society where the top teams give money to the smaller teams in order for leagues to survive, because there's no promotion relegation like there's over in Europe.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Europe, with the much more socialistic system on everything, is way more capitalist with their major sports. There's promotion relegation. If you're in the top league, you get a whole bunch of money for staying in the top league. If you get into the big competitions, you get a whole bunch more money for getting those competitions every round. You get more money for that as well. But like, nobody cares if I'll pick one of my favorite teams I always used to play on FIFA, Hereford United. I used to love playing Hereford United. I used to like bring them up.
Heard of them.
Yeah, they went out of business, but they were the cows, and they'd have some of the stands always going, "Come on, you cows!" And I thought that was hilarious. So I would always play with Hereford United, but nobody cared. Hereford United was around for 100-something years and just completely went bankrupt. They're like, "Nyeh." Like, there's so many teams, Blackpool, Bury, like so many of them, and I happen to know the English ones better than I know the other ones. But like, there are a lot of them go into financial jail, I guess, and having to get out of it. Administration, that's the word, financial administration, and have to fight their way out to get anywhere, and nobody cares. That would never happen in the US unless you're a minor league team, and then they just want to cut everybody. That's another thing. Manfred wants to cut 30 minor league jobs and pay everyone minimum wage. And
well, the other thing too with that, I mean, we saw that they were making progress. I mean, you give one thing, which is the DH, which is what the players want. It adds to more jobs. MLB's getting what they want by eliminating some of the minor. Although they did a giant cut of that already.
Yeah, they already did one. Like, to run the entire minor league system they're talking about would cost each team about $2.2 million a year, which is what we call a utility player at the major league level.
Right.
Like, it's just, we've talked about this before, how Manfred just doesn't like the league. But the biggest thing, I think, even more than that, and I know that's the ongoing saga, is what happened with the Angels. And
Tyler Skaggs. Oh my God.
With Tyler Skaggs and Matt Harvey's under oath testimony is probably going to get him suspended from baseball indefinitely for telling the truth. And I mean, I do not believe that the Angels are the only team using Percocet.
Of course not.
And we've been talking about how this has been a clean game now that we've had the drug testing, or at least the appearance of a clean game. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. There's always in baseball, going back to the 60s and 70s with greenies in order to get people up. It's tough to play a professional sport as one as with as much downtime for the players as baseball.
Right.
Every single day for 5 months.
Mhm.
It's just tough. Like they get a day off here and there, but it's not easy to do. And your little aches and pains just don't have time to rest. You just kind of play through them. And once you start getting on painkillers, they're almost impossible to get off of.
Matt Harvey, they were making the rounds was like the one clip of Matt Harvey, sort of like where he had a cocaine bleed drip coming down his nose. I'm not surprised to learn that Matt Harvey was on some stuff. The way his not just the way his play dropped off, but the way his temperament was very erratic, putting it mildly. I don't know. It's knowing what we know about a lot of these drugs. It boggles my mind that there's still a lot of people making those choices, which they're free to make. I believe that you can, but when you have all this talent in the world and you're pissing it away.
Yeah, well, remember Jose Fernandez?
I do, yeah.
I mean, just for those of you who don't remember, he died, got to be 10, 12 years ago at this point. But he was
2003, I think.
No, I know how to be after that. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm thinking 2010 or so. 2016. Sorry, not even that long ago. So.
Oh, okay. Right. For the Marlins.
For the Marlins, right?
Okay.
Just a dominant young left-handed pitcher, incredible player, and went boating while on cocaine and died. By the way, I'm sorry, he's a right-handed pitcher, not left-handed pitcher. But like just absolutely dominant, seemed clean as a whistle, great kid, everything. Died of cocaine, essentially. I know there was the boat accident was the cause of death, but I mean, he may have still crashed, but probably not. He was going like 85 miles an hour in a small area on his boat when he crashed. I just think there's a ton of this, and it doesn't get tested for. I mean, cocaine's in your system for like 2 days, and they're not really testing for it. No, like Matt Harvey said that nobody ever once asked him about pain pills, like anyone on the team, if he was using it. Right? He met his whole career. He met that guy.
They don't care. Is I guess what I'm saying. They don't care.
No, 100% they don't care. And today they found Eric Kay, who's the staffer for the Angels, guilty on 2 felony counts for fentanyl. He's facing up to 20 years in prison. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is here, but this is, I think, with the amount of what was honestly honest testimony. I don't think any of those guys lied who came out. I think they legitimately told as close to the truth because I listened to all of it. That's what I did instead of watching the Olympics. I listened to the testimony. Like that was some of the most raw, honest testimony we've ever gotten from athletes in any sort of case. And I think it's a massive, massive problem for MLB. And it's probably a massive problem for multiple sports. Although if it happened in the NFL, everybody would shrug. Right. And I'm sure it happens in the end. Like,
oh, of course.
Yeah, that's the whole. Yeah,
or
it's
the
the whole
NBA for that matter too.
What?
Or the NBA for that matter too.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know what the answer is, but between everything, this is just baseball. I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, it's just a matter of them giving a shit and noticing the signs that were probably, I'm sure were there to people who were around them, and they did nothing, and they did absolutely nothing, because this was not just limited to these few people. So how many of Matt Harvey's teammates knew that he was playing fast and loose with some shit? And
a lot. Oh, at least 5 that we know of.
Yeah.
So,
or people in management and
Mhm.
or even just like other things. Okay, you really hurt. It's all about sort of this great, all for the good of the team. And you can be. It's hard, but it's hard to. But you can still be a model franchise, a model owner, and give a shit about your players. Because if you do, these players will want to play for you, and they'll play harder for you,
Mhm.
and they'll want to come to your team when they're a free agent.
Yeah. But I mean, again, it's the Angels who have probably squandered more talent than any team in the league over the last decade.
Yeah,
But like,
we can probably see that throughout next decade too. If Otani stays there another 5-6 years, and they're
yeah,
garbage.
they have Otani and Trout and can't make a expanded playoffs.
No, they can't even get to 500.
Crazy. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Well, this got dark at the end. I think that's what happens when we always save the ugly.
I mean, that's what happens with the ugly. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, or if we talk about baseball. But yeah, I mean, I honestly think, let me just say this. There's no reason baseball can't just reinstitute last year's rules and continue to negotiate throughout the year in order to get games played. Like they could just, they basically have an option to extend. If people aren't going to get paid, they can just do that. They're not going to do that because they don't actually care. They really don't.
They believe that no matter what shit product they put out there or what PR they'll put out there, we're America's pastime. Well, there's a lot of people under 30 who don't.
You are now past your time at this point. They need to figure something out because again, they are the sport where the players are the most visible. They should be the most easily recognized. Well, basketball too, but they're the two sports where there's not something blocking your face when you're doing stuff, right? You should be able, like, and in baseball, there's constant zoom ins on the pitcher and the batter, on everyone like that. These guys should be instantly recognizable. Vast majority of them, like you could show the top 20 players to like a 25-year-old, and unless they're a huge baseball person, they're probably getting like 3.
There's only a handful of them that could like walk into a mall and not get mobbed, and get mobbed.
Like Justin Verlander,
Aaron Judge,
Pujols is still playing.
Yeah, Aaron Judge would be one. Otani is one, and Trout's not.
Now, Mookie Betts.
I'd say Mookie.
I'd say Mookie.
Yeah,
and then others regionally, like if
Justin Turner.
Yeah,
in Los Angeles. I mean, he's got also a very recognizable look.
Right.
But I don't think. There's so many that aren't even on the powerful Yankees. It's mostly Aaron Judge and I wouldn't even say Stanton.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even say that.
Come on, everyone's following Gleyber Torres around.
Well. Anywho, this brings the show to a close. I'm going to now do some self-promoting stuff. Evan and I have created the United States Athletic Hall of Fame. Have you voted yet? You can today. You can tomorrow. You can the next day. It's the only true Hall of Fame that's for the people, by the people. Not in halloffame.com/USA. And we've got some, as much as I just shit on the Olympics, we've got some Olympians who helped us actually pick the people who were nominated. Former NFL great Richmond Webb was a part of this group. We put a lot of effort into this, and please support us by casting your vote. Evan, I wrote a book. Did you know that?
I've heard.
Yeah. Chavo Guerrero, before he passed away, Chavo Guerrero Sr., instant classic. You can find that on Amazon. So check that out. Chris Bourdain and I, we do a show whenever we do them, where it's called This Crap Was on National Television. We just recorded our look at Canadian crap, Beachcombers. We've decided what we're going to do next. It's going to be That 80s Show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So we're going to look, because both of us we remember the 80s well. Unfortunately, that show didn't.
Yeah.
And my final plug, it is for How the Hell Did This Go #1? Andrea Tessman and Brad Nelson. We look at #1 songs. Next week, we're going to be looking at Cher's Half Breed. Well, maybe that one didn't age too well. Probably not. But she meant well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'll be a pretty interesting one to take a look at that. I think it even starts with those drums. Yeah, it's a song maybe they didn't even want to play in Indians games.
That's a pretty low bar too. So
It could have been. It could have been. And there's another regular show. Vinny Los Manuso, he makes the Hall of Fame case for, and it's usually a lot of people I've never heard of, but that's our Vinny.
Mm-hmm.
And he usually does a really he always does a really good job.
He always does a really good job.
Yeah, at that. So we actually know which one we're going to do next time. This one I've heard of, Leo Ferris, the guy who invented the 24-second shot clock. So that'll be a real easy one for
a guy who saved a sport.
Oh my God, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So that's all my plugs. Evan, what do you want to plug?
I don't know. I'm going to Minnesota. So I'll let you know how it is. I'll plug where we're going to Minnesota. My daughter watches a YouTube channel of something called Snake Discovery. It's a reptile rehab facility / zoo. We're going up there. We'll be there tomorrow. And I'm looking, my kid knows every one of the animals and what they eat and their feeding schedule. And she's watched like every video they've had 3 times. Okay. So I'm actually looking forward to this. It's going to be interesting. So we'll see how Minneapolis is in February.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure as great as Winnipeg's going to be in February.
Yeah.
Remind me, I've got something where we found hatchling turtles on the beach. And so they're all making their way to the ocean, and Jasper even helps with one.
Nice.
This way. So I'll have to find that video.
Cool. I actually paid $10 to a rehab facility on the island of Gili-Manu. You want to guess what country that's in?
Gili-Manu?
Yeah.
Doesn't it sound like something that would be like Welsh or something?
No, it's Indonesia. It's one of the small islands off of Bali.
You think I would have picked that one up? I married an Indonesian for God.
You would.
Yeah.
But no, they have people used to eat the turtle eggs on the beach, and they convinced them to let the turtles go and get the tourism. So they pay people to bring the eggs to them if they find them, and they'll hatch them. And they have the facility. And if you, as a tourist, you pay $10, you can name a turtle and then take it and release it into the ocean, which is one of the cooler things we've ever done.
Nice.
So I'm hoping that Fillmore the turtle, who was released back in 2009, is still doing well 13 years later. So
I would have named mine Chachi.
Yeah, mine's Fillmore after the one of my favorite comic strips, Sherman's Lagoon, which is the name of the turtle from there.
Okay, so I'll look that up.
All right.
Wherever you may be, wherever you are, stay safe, my friends. Take care.
Take care, guys. Thanks.